Hello Collective, we're here to do the Divine Energy reading for the Chariot. Cancerian energy, we're in Cancer season. Oh, are we in it? Are there any Cancers, Cancer moons out there? We are in it, y'all. And right now, Cancers and the Cancerian collective, not just those who have Cancer in their chart, but those that are in Cancerian energy right now, which is all of us in this season, depending on when you're watching this. But if you're watching it during Cancer season, then yes. And we can go through these seasons outside of the zodiac sign time frame, right? Like some of us, if you have Cancer in your chart somewhere, or if you have heavy water in your chart, right, you could be dealing with that Cancerian energy quite a bit through the holidays, right? It could be a very emotional time, so you really could be tapping into that energy around that time. But for now, we are in that season, and we're in Saturn's in retrograde, which is Capricorn, which is the polarity sign for Cancer. So there is a lot of push-pull. Now, a chariot pulls, right? A chariot leads. Well, the chariot itself is led by horses in an imperfect world. But this is more like self-led, right? And this is the heart space, right? This is following the heart. This is the steamroller. I'm a steamroller, baby. And I'm coming down the line. Any military individuals out there? It's like a military cadence. The cadence is about a rhythm. It's like a drum line. So this is like marching to the beat of your own drum. Okay? And when you do that, when you follow your heart instead of your ego, you're going to have a lot of pushback. All right, you're going to have pushback from those who envy you and wish that they could follow their heart, but don't have the strength, right? Because the heart, the emotions, and this is the emotional aspect. This is the moon Cancerian aspect of the heart space, but the heart chakra and the solar plexus are the sun, right? Which is also Leo energy. So you could be dealing with a Leo, you could have Leo in your chart, but this is like the sun and moon. This is that 5D, when you're talking about a divine union, this is the 5D sun and moon relationship, and how there's always this sort of chasing. So if you are led by horses, you're not vegan, but if you're led by horses or external influences and other things are pulling you somewhere, and they're pulling your heart somewhere, then that is not your truth. You're not led by your truth. You're allowing other things to influence you. And Cancers can be impressionable in a sense, because they are loyal. There's such a loyalty that they have, especially if they are in a romantic relationship, and they can, give and overgive and deplete themselves to the point, like a dog, right? Cancers can give to the point of their loyalty can be a detriment to them. Right, so this is having loyalty to self versus allowing other things to pull you. You're not the leader, you're not the charter of your own course. So this is charting your own course. This is leading yourself. And Cancers are a cardinal water sign, right? So the fire energy of the cardinal modality that supplements their water energy is masculine. Fire is masculine. Cardinal is fire. And so that can either boil over, right? That can like push. So you don't want to be pushed either. And that turns into a runner-chaser dynamic, right? In the 3D, if you are chasing or following or being led by something that is not honest or aligned with your truth, right? And so this is you really understanding how to wield, and if you have fire aspects, right, you could have Leo in your chart, but if you have a Leo moon, right, you could have Aries or Sagittarius moon, you could have any kind of fire or cardinal signs. They struggle with that because there's this fire energy that wants to push them. And it wants to push that, whatever their primary element of that sign is, and nobody likes to be pushed. So there can be an inner conflict within the modality and the like essence of who you are and how you move. If you aren't, if you're not aligned with your truth, if you're out of the alignment with your truth, then you're going to be misled, and you're going to follow people who are living lies, right? And they could be living their truth. It's less likely, because usually if you follow people who are living their truth, it only encourages you and it shifts the energy around to where there's a realization and a recognition of truth, where it's like, namaste, the light and the truth in me honors the light and truth in you, right? So there's this honoring and this recognition of relative experience and relative truth. Whereas if you're following somebody that's not aligned with your truth, then it's like attracts like. It's unlikely that they're following their truth, so it's like you're following a liar. But they could not be lying intentionally. They maybe they're just in denial, which is the case a lot of times. So just watch where your loyalty is. Watch who you're following, and tap back into your heart space and what is really true for you. All right, so with this chariot we have the Eight of Swords. This person's being led by the moon. Their mind, right? This is that misleading. Their mental energy is being drained. Their mental energy is being depleted. And it's like they have these... the full energy is to jump, right? It's when you're presented with a tower. The tower is an opportunity to get on your divine path. Get back on your divine path, right? Sometimes we get misled. So this kind of has a... if you don't align with the things that you know in your celestial body to be true, that moon energy, if you don't listen to it, if you don't pay attention to it, if you get distracted by the external and by the incoming information from the outside, then you'll be presented with a tower. And there's this like full energy to jump. Well, if you jump into something that is misleading or untrue, then look what waits for you down here, right? Not very comfortable. So, and the Knight of Wands, yeah, if this is the energy that you're dealing with, if you're dealing with the Knight of Wands energy, this is casual sex, this is emotionally unavailable, look how armored up they are, right? But they're just coming in with that wand. And see how they're riding a flea? Like, fleas are just parasites. This is very parasitic energy. This person is on a mission to take from your energy. They know that you're loyal. They know that you're intuitive and sensitive and empathic, and that you're on the divine path. And this individual, again, whether they know it consciously or subconsciously, it doesn't matter. I don't think fleas are given a choice, right? Parasitic organisms are just, it's like narcissists. They just don't have the capacity to understand what they're doing because they are lacking empathy. They're lacking the understanding of, they want it. They want it. It's not so much that they want it for themselves. They just don't want anyone else to have it. And so it's like, it's just part of their nature. So it's, now when you're dealing with human narcissists, yeah, I think that they know what they're doing. But there's this sort of like, but even still, they know that they're doing it, but it's like a survival need. And it's part of their survival need. So it's like, you know, there's still going to be fleas, there's still going to be ticks, there's still going to be mosquitoes, unfortunately. My veganism stops at those. I'm soap and watering, you know, I don't do parasites. When you come into my space, you're not going to like feed on the blood of my loved ones, you know, my dogs and myself, and just be a vector, right? So this is like, before you get impaled, you need to get into a Queen of Swords energy, right? That's this Chariot here. They're protecting their heart with all this armor, and continuing to chart their course. And that's that Queen of Swords energy that's really getting into a place of, and if we're talking divine couples here, right, you want to be in the divine balance of both, but the Queen of Swords cuts everything out, and the King of Swords makes the decisions, right? So you have to, it's like, the Queen of Swords can come off very cold and masculine, right? But that's because she is following, she's led by the masculine energy. And this is something that happens within, right? The kings and queens are internal, the internal duality of masculine and feminine dynamics at play within each element. So this is you listening to the masculine energy and protecting the hell out of your divine feminine energy. So that way no one can hurt your heart, right? You have to protect your heart with a fierceness, with a relentlessness, right? You have to be just as vigilant, of vigilance, right? Because they're going to be relentless, right? If you, yeah, I live in Florida. If you know, mosquitoes are just out of control, and so it's like you have to install screens. You have to, you know, find, and they adapt really well, right? Like the essential oils, especially if you're treating things holistically, which is the divine way. You know, tapping back into the elements in nature and your organic temple, right? And so it's like there's, they really adapt because it's like chemical warfare, right? There's this inundation of chemical information and pollution constantly coming in. So it's not just literal organisms, but there's parasitic information coming in, right? There's, you know, political stuff that comes in, which is just, it's just part of the grand conspiracy to keep a people as sheeple, keep them as in fear, keep them herded together, keep them going with the current, whatever is current information is what everyone is like, this is news, there's nothing new about it, right? So there's paying attention to what information is coming in and how it's affecting you. And you know what I would say, and being vigilant about, you know, safeguarding yourself from it, right? So, you know, this is the curation of your space and your diet, your energetic diet, and your literal diet, and getting to a place where you go, okay, this, every time I eat this, it affects my body this way. Every time I see posts like this, or every time I get on Instagram or Facebook or some, for some reason, like every time I turn on the TV and watch the news, I'm in a bad mood later, or I wake up the next day and my dreams disrupted. Like there's something going on. So protecting yourself spiritually, energetically, and holistically is more of a challenge, but it's the best way to, and sometimes, you have to use a little bit of chemical, you gotta fight fire with fire. Sometimes you have to use bleach, because there are certain organisms that have evolved or devolved, whichever way you want to look at it. They've adapted to the holistic methods in such a way that it takes something a little bit more aggressive to safeguard yourself, right? So if you're like out and about, right, touching a lot of doorknobs, and you come home and you just want to like clean it with vinegar and water, you're dealing with chemical energy, which is like mutated demonic energy. And sometimes you have to just you have to find out what tools, find the chinks in their armor so that you can penetrate them. So yeah, there is sort of like, if you're in your space, you can treat that holistically, treat it in a routine where you get like a nice symbiosis and this like nice little ecosystem. But if you come outside of it, right, like if you work outside of your home, which many of us do, you work outside of your home, you go run errands, you go socialize with people, you may be sober, but you go out to the bar with friends, right? There's a different set of armor and a different set of information that you're taking in, because you're in an environment. So even though you have created this and purified this temple of yours, it's actually just making more space for these vectors to come in, these parasites to come in, these pests to become. And there's a difference between pests and parasites, right? Pests are like kind of, they don't really know. Like, it's like a fly that gets caught in your home. Just open a window and like let it find its way out. Like, sometimes it's just like people are just confused and they're not really paying attention. But then there is like parasitic energy that has one agenda. It's to suck your blood. It's to take from your life force, or the life force of those that you love. So, I just kicked the stand. So there is a fierceness that has to come into play here, and that's where you can use that fire energy. And see how it's this Knight of Wands is going away from the Chariot. It's like, I'm coming at you, and so they're terrified, right? Like you've figured out the equation or the solution, right? Like science. It's like microbiology. You figured out the right I can't think of the word, but I think it'll come to me when I stop thinking about it. But it's like the right substance. Like you figured out the right solution and blend combination of remedies to deter and ward off these pests. So yeah, the thing is here is like, don't chase these individuals, right? Because that's what these, like if you're talking about romantic connections or jobs or ideas, right? If they're parasitic, demonic, right? If they have that singular intention to take from your heart space, don't chase them, right? Don't be led. If these are like the horses in front of you, don't be led by misleading energy. So if you have been in these connections, which I feel like you have, if you've been in these connections many times, you're probably raised by these connections, and then you attracted them in your romantic relationships, take notes, right? Rely on your past experiences. Past behavior is indicative of future behavior, right? So, people who are like, you have to start every relationship like it's brand new. Not necessarily. Not every relationship is brand new. Sometimes when you're in the process of breaking a cycle and cutting things out, it's the same thing. It's really old news. There is no new news, right? Until you get to a place where you're divinely aligned, and then you can attract what's divinely aligned for you. But this is a place of being tested, right, with Saturn retrograde. That's addictions, that's workaholism, that's, substance use, that's attachments, right? So these are attachments. There's going to be residual attachments to past experiences, to the familiarity of this and this enticing thing you want to chase. It's like, oh, what is that? That's very fast and frenzied and fun and all of that. And they seem like they have a direction, but their direction is not your direction. Their direction is intent on taking. This is a taker. It's not a giver. And that's that over-investing in those who do not reciprocate. All right, and then this chariot over here, so that's kind of like the challenges and what's unseen. This is more what's seen or to come. So this is the, and the Two of Wands was coming out in the, I don't know which one's going to be uploaded first, but I just did the High Priestess, and there's the Two of Wands there. This is making the decision, right? In that it was like there was a fork in the road, not making a decision necessarily between them, just moving forward. This is making the decision. This is making that decisive. You have to be decisive and be in that masculine energy of protecting what you've worked for. So that was a more feminine read of getting into the feminine energy of nurturing, staying, and this is more of the Chariot is a more masculine pursuit, right? And if you're the feminine, let the masculine pursue you, okay? So this is making that decision. See, they got the world in their hands. He's got the whole in his hands. He's got the whole wide world. Was that Con Air? Steve Buscemi when he's, singing that with the little girl. There is, and see, they're all like convicts and everything, and and there could be this thing, and I think Nicolas Cage is a Capricorn, so it's just, but that plane, sometimes the mode of transportation, right? Sometimes the path to the divine is littered with demons, right? I would say not just sometimes, like all the time. At certain points, it's like there are checkpoints, and so it's like this wholesome guy who was protecting. Spoiler alert: he's been imprisoned for his child, for this creation that he and his divine person have, they've created. He's been imprisoned for her whole life, and he has to get to her, and he's in there because he was protecting them, like it was self-defense or whatever. That's negotiable depending on how you feel about the movie. But he was defending the feminine, right? There's this like fierce protection of the feminine. There's that military aspect too, because he was in the military, I think. But anyway, his mode to get back to his creative energy, back to his creation, his child, his home, to come into union. And if you're the feminine waiting on the masculine, like this is what they could be going through, right? They could be going through the fact that they are surrounded by demons. They're surrounded by actual convicts who have murdered and raped and killed and murdered and killed, tomato. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. That's a good movie. Not really, but it's entertaining. But they're surrounded. It's like they could be completely surrounded. Their way to you is littered with demons. And so they could really be, maybe you're dealing with the Cancer, but I feel like the divine masculine is really having a hard time protecting the feminine, and they're trying to come in to protect, like in the 5D, their own feminine energy. They're having a hard time protecting that. They're figuring it out. They're playing science. They're like getting the right formula together for that. Still not sure if that's not the word I'm looking for, but it's in there somewhere. Solution, formula, microbiology, scientist. Yeah, but they maybe they're like a teacher, right? Maybe they're someone who's like intellectual or something like that as well. And so maybe they deal with math or science or something like that. But that's specific, but it's like they're working this part out so that they can come in and they can keep themselves protected. So when they come in, they're balanced and they're prepared to really serve the feminine and the feminine and the creation that you guys will, whatever creation or creative space that you're going to create. Create. Like if it's, you may have a child, you may end up having a child together, building a family together, or whatever you, like if you come together as a power couple and you create a business or a, some sort of healing hub or something like that. Maybe you will be teachers, right? Maybe you will be like getting things down to a science together. Maybe you meet at work, but it's like they have to combat all of these things. It's like the soldier lost at war. They have to really travel back in such a way that's very calculated, and because they don't want to lose their link to the feminine in the 5D. They don't want to lose that, whatever balance they have been able to obtain and maintain. They want to maintain it. They want to safeguard it and keep it highly protected. It's like the most precious cargo. It's that pink bunny. Is it a pink bunny? I know it's a bunny, but why couldn't you put the bunny back in the box? It's like, I feel like, yeah, that's like, they're just dealing with really low vibrational people and energies. And so they're trying to keep that space sacred because they want to make sure that it's perfect for this feminine, right? So that's been the common theme, is that I feel like the feminine is growing impatient. But if you grow impatient with your person in the 5D, what you're telling them is that, like, okay, what you're doing is not enough. It's not perfect. And even though you're like, you would think that it's perfect, but you just want it now. The ego wants it now. You're sending mixed signals, right? And so you're going to discourage them from any progress that they've made. And so you don't want to be part of the pushback that they're getting. You don't want to pull them either, right? The chariot has to be self-led, right? It's more like a rickshaw, right? It's a choice, right? That human that's driving the rickshaw has a choice to do it. Whereas like the horse is leading it, they don't. The one's pulling it. And so you don't want to push or pull another chariot, right? You don't want to push or pull somebody else's heart. So that's very conditional love, and that's not what we want to do to our people, right? We want to make sure that we're sending them grace, as much grace as we expect, and we want them to come in when they're ready. Because if you rush them, if it's a twin flame connection, maybe you know this person or whatever. If not, you absolutely feel them in the 5D. It's like, get it together already, like, come on. But if you're doing that, if you're sending out that message, then you're rushing them, you're pushing them, you're telling them that their process is not okay, that they need to do it your way. And they're doing it their way to make sure that they can come in and be a part of your way, right? So you can't be one-sided here. You have to understand their way as well, because they're trying to accommodate your way, so you have to accommodate their way, which means however long they take to get here. And if you push a twin flame before it's ready, it will always be in that runner chaser dynamic. It will always be half in, half out. There will be problems with reciprocation. It will be out of balance. So the only time it can be balanced is when the two parties are ready and self-sufficient, and they have figured out their own, they've done the work in their own labs, their own laboratories. And then when they, move into a new lab, they can bring some of the equipment in, they can bring all that mutual information, right? They can bring it together. And that is kind of like, whenever you're coming into, you have to know yourself, right? So if you're rushing somebody else to come in and fill you up, or to be like the missing piece, you're the missing piece, right? So you need to get it together in yourself, where if you're requiring that somebody else come in and fill you in, that's completely conditional. You're telling them like, I'm not enough, so I need you to fill me up. And that means like you're calling them into an investment that is, they're going to lose money in. You're going to be that parasite. You're going to be pulling from their energy. So make sure that you're not the parasite. Make sure that you're not the one who is mindlessly just sucking the blood off of others because you don't even know your own blood type, right? All right, so yeah, we have the Two of Wands. This is making that decision, seeing the world. The world is also like getting a hangman's perspective. This is zooming out and getting a new perspective on the environment around you, which tells you a lot about the environment within you, right? The environment and the environment. It tells you a lot about those two when you stop to look. And that's going to help you make the decision, right? It's going to help you be decisive. And that decision is about letting this past energy go. It's about where you put your mental energy and your focus and your words, right? Because swords are all about communication in the mind and the words, right? So this is really taking care of what energy you put out there, right? It's like if you leave all your doors open and you leave food out on the counter, and then you're like, why do I keep getting all these flies and these cockroaches and these mice in my house? Why do I keep getting all these pests in my house? They're just pests at this point. They're just coming in because you've left it open and available. So if you're still half in and half out of another connection, and your only way of saying, oh, I can move forward is if somebody new comes in, that's completely unfair. You're calling them to come in and do the work to help you cut out something that you have to handle yourself. So this is really about being accountable for yourself and your past, all right? And making sure that your space is ready to invite somebody else in, and invite the right person in, right? And not just completely open to whatever comes in and whoever shows attention and whatever pests come in. Because what happens is they come in and then they breed. Pests breed very quickly. So they might start out as just being like, la la la, but flies, mice, cockroaches, they breed like crazy and they will take over your space, and then they become parasitic, right? Because then they're eating your pantry. Moths and all that seem very pretty, but then they start like getting into your food and laying, then you get mealworms and stuff in your grains. I feel itchy now. So it's like, you have to, if you want your person to be able to, you're also helping them. So if you feel like you've got it all together, which you probably don't. If you feel like you have it all together, you probably don't, because there is no such thing. But if you feel like I've got it together and I'm still feeling this sort of like energetic pull, know that that's your person. You're linked to them and what they're going through. So you really need to help them maintain that energy. Like, you need to help them maintain that strength. Because when you guys come together, you'll be defending the same house, right? You'll be doing protecting and nurturing the same creation, whether that be a human child or whether that be a space or a project that's going to be something very divine, and it's going to be something that aids in the revolution of the collective. So it's going to need a lot of protection, and it's going to be that means all the parasites are going to be coming in because they're going to be like, this feels delicious. So yeah, let's just check yourself before you wreck yourself, right? And your person. Your parson? So that's being decisive. That's this self-evaluation and accountability of self. And this is the celebration, right? So you have to release the past, release the old ways, a whole new world, right? It's like when they're flying over Egypt. And this is a celebration. This is your Holy Trinity, right? Me, myself, and I. This is friends. You're also going to be, this is not just romantic. This is in pursuit or on the path of divine union, but you have to consider your friends, right? Birds of a feather. So if you're out at that bar with people and you don't want someone who drinks, then why are you out at a bar? If you don't drink and you don't want someone who drinks, then why are you at a bar? Why do you think that that's where you're going to find your person? You're not going to find your person there. You're going to find people who drink, right? There's the off chance that they might be there with their people, but at the same time, why are both of you so spineless that you're hanging out with people who bring you down, right? Why are you hanging out with people that are not aligned with you and your divine path? The divine path is the solitary path, right? It is very much the greatest challenge that you will endure, right? And so it's not easy. It's not meant to be easy. If it were easy, everyone would do it. And we can tell by looking around, like, hardly anybody's doing it. So it's very much a unique path. You're going against the grain. You're doing the hard work, the hardest work. You're not just a workaholic and making a lot of money in the 3D and getting that success. You are staying aligned with something that is and you're not paying attention to the 3D politics, right? Or the 3D warfare. You're a soldier of the 5D warfare. And as someone who has been in the 3D warfare, that's like a piece of cake compared to the 5D warfare. Like it's because it's the unseen, it's the currents, and it's all the stuff going on within that will come out, and it's not going to be pretty, and it's not all going to be yours as an empath, as a child of chaos. It's going to be the energies and the chaos of the corruption, the cycles of ancestral karma. It's going to be all of that you're working through, that you have to cut through. So it might feel unfair if you are in that wounded warrior energy. You might be like, oh, woe is me, this is all happening to me, why can't I just have it easy? Because that's not what you incarnated for. That's not what you asked for. This is what you asked for whatever reason, and you're questioning that now. This is what you asked for. This is what you wanted. You wanted this path, right? You wanted the divine path. So you're on it like a bonnet. And yeah, see the dark and light. Is that yeah, it looks like a medical caduceus. You could be in the medical field. But it looked like a red cross through here, but now it looks kind of like yeah, the medical crest. Yeah, this person is, and see, it's like this chariot isn't really going anywhere. This is more like an emperor. This person is stationary. Their little sphinxes are laying down. It's guarded. It's not just going with no direction. This is the arrival. Okay? So let's see what's at the bottom of the deck over here. It's me! Thank you. So we have the Eight of Wands. Paving that new path. That's that machete. You're like hacking a new path. You're the first person to make this path because you're the only person who can. It's your path. So it's not going to be easy. There's not going to be footprints for you to follow. There's not going to be like obvious breadcrumbs for you to, Hansel and Gretel your way to the house made of, candy. This is... I had a dream about candy last night. I don't quite remember it. But it was like a candy land. Anyway, Ten of Swords. This is the ending of betrayals, ending of disappointments, right? And you know what is between this Eight of Swords and this Ten of Swords? Is the... I just had to make sure that was the Eight of Swords. The Eight of Swords and the Ten of Swords is Two of Swords, which is a decision, right? It's the choice. Eat, pray, love. You can choose your thoughts like you can choose your wardrobe. That is a power you can cultivate. And then the Ten of Wands, which is, not giving your energy to casual connections, a bunch of fuckboy energy. This is also not overworking for others. This is bringing that work into self. Not bearing the burdens of others. That's an ending to those things. So if you're feeling like this, then you've got this, again, 8 and 10 of Wands, 2 of Wands, just over here. So it's all about two, and anytime that you are talking about two, which is the union of two separate ones, it's a new beginning of two. two, I don't know why I'm saying that like that. Maybe you wear two twos. Maybe you're a dancer. But there's always a choice with two. There's always a past and a future. And then one where is just justice with that. Kind of like Two of Swords, Libra energy, karmic balance, Knight of Cups, Seven of Swords, and the High Priestess. Yeah, and see, even in the Seven of Swords, they have this Five of Swords, which is like the repetition after like so many cycles of this Five of Swords of being like disappointed, stabbed in the back. It ends up being the Ten of Swords, right? And there's two. It's like you're not seeing this two. You're not seeing the opportunity to make a decision because you're focused on the past disappointments. The now is the two, right? That's the balance of the feminine, the masculine, that's making the decisions. The divine path is decisive, right? It takes discipline. Maybe your name starts with a D. But it's, don't settle for DMs when you can wait for a DM, right, ladies? Or feminines. And then the High Priestess, maybe there's something in that reading. It's very much part of the energy now of tapping into the third eye, tapping into source and to the intuition. This is, to follow your gut, to follow your intuition, to follow that, the gut is... Literally, it's a brain for the immune system, right? Like everything that we consume in our, edible diet is it signals to the brain, right? Which signals to our hormones, which tells us if we're going to be in a positive feedback loop. It instructs our immune system how to defend itself. And so if you're talking about the proverbial gut, the intuition, then what's clouding that? What's interrupting that communication? And that could be that Five of Swords, which is like blocked communication. And you may have to block somebody. You may have just recently blocked somebody. But you have to block people out of communication with you because, you may have just been like repeating the same thing. with people, like setting boundaries and telling people how you want to be treated, how you expect to be treated, because that's how you treat others. But they're not listening because they are this mofo right here. And the Knight of Cups. That's that, I don't know if I said that in here, if I said that in the High Priestess reading, but that's that wounded warrior, right? It's like Atreyu and Artax in the marshes of misery, or whatever that place is called. It's like they're just sort of going through the cycle, this emotional cycle over and over. The wounded warrior, boo-hoo, woe is me. And so we want to flip that, right? With this water energy, we want to flip that. Filter your water, hydrate, align with your dreams, listen to your intuition, like listen to what your space is telling you, listen to what your body is telling you, and that will help you tap into your intuition, that will help you to listen to your heart. Also, doing heart chakra work, like getting out of this fear-based place, right? If we're watching a lot of media, social media, or things that are aggravating us or irritating our senses and disrupting our intuition, then we need to open ourselves up and come out of a fear-based place, right? So you can do some strengthen the back body so that you're able to hold yourself upright, right? And maybe just standing in like power stances, right? Getting yourself to where you can be literally in a line, so that any blockages, and pay attention to how your body feels when you do this work, because if you stand up straight and your back feels really tired after just like a few breaths, do some back exercises. I mean, that's why we are pulled into this place, because the muscles that tell us to be in fear are so hyperactive. They're so strong, and when a muscle is strong, it's shorter, right? Like strongmen and bodybuilders, they're usually shorter and stockier because their muscles are shorter, they're tighter, and that's what makes them strong. And then you see like ballerinas and very lean, tall, very bendy, flexible people, they have that leaner, taller thing. Well, so it's like getting that balance between the two of bringing length to the front. So you need to open the front, and the best way to do that is to strengthen the back so that your back can hold that front. So also maybe doing like some back bends, some camel poses, very much like with the desert. Yeah, I feel like this dry desert, there's like the desert here, we've got the sphinxes, we've got this sort of like desertous place. So we need to really tap into our water energy, right? Move the water in our body. Maybe like doing some dancing, some movement, like Kundalini yoga would really tap you into that like childish place of like kind of being silly. Also, our diaphragm is contracted in this posture here, in this very like child pose posture. And so if you want to nurture the heart space, but you don't want to close it off, right? So the child's pose can be very nurturing to the heart space, but you don't want to just stay in the child's pose, because then that's going to keep you very immature emotionally, right? You're not going to have any strength. You're not going to have any diplomacy, any decisiveness. You're not going to have any confidence to open your heart up when the time is right, because you're going to be so closed off. So something with, just work out. Work out the back body. Do some like resistance training, some body weight exercises to really open the body up and get yourself into a confident place, so that you're able to ward off the enemy, the opponents, and also protect your space, right? Also know the chinks in your armor, right? That's like self-evaluation, and the accountability is knowing the chinks in your armor, because that's exactly where the enemy and the opponents and that 5D warfare, that's where they're going to come in. That's where they're going to be, it's like a fly can find a little hole in a screen, or like the tiniest crack in a window, but then you like open the door and they still are like, where do we go? They're kind of stupid. Sorry, Jeff Goldblum. But there is like they'll find a way in, right? So you have to really just make sure that you're guarded, but not so guarded that you're closed off, right? Because you still want to allow, you don't want to like nail your doors shut, right? Because you still want your divine person to be able to get in, right? So it's like a screen. It's a filtration. That's what your immune system is. It's a filtration for pollutants. And like viruses, right? So yeah, make sure you check your vitamins intake, like check your dietary stuff. Make sure that you're hydrating and consuming things that are going to be nurturing to your gut health. Because if your gut is out of balance, if your microbiome of the gut is out of balance, it's going to instruct your immune system that you are in defense mode. Because you're defending the stuff that you're putting into your body. You're defending your body from the stuff you're putting into it. So you need to make sure that you're paying attention to what you're consuming everywhere, through all the senses. Tap into the 5 senses so that you can open up to the 6th sense and beyond. That's the high priestess, right? Getting into that high priest or hierophant energy of Taurus, where you tap into the 5 senses, right? What are they doing? What's aggravating my senses? What am I tired of looking at? What's bothering what is that sound? It's like the mosquito in your ear. It's like, what is that sound? There's something that's bothering you. If it's like a dripping faucet, right? You may need to do like some work on your plumbing in your house. Maybe clean the sinks, right? Do some like baking soda and apple cider vinegar. Clean your plumbing, because your house represents, again, the external environment that you observe is a mirror of what's going on inside. So there could be like plumbing issues, blood flow issues, circulation, heart issues, right? So like just, what that means to you. So just take that. Okay, I think that's it. And yeah, we're going to make it through this season, guys. I feel like maybe listening to some classical music. Moonlight Sonata, I was listening to that last night. Maybe listening to, because I was just getting annoyed by everything that I was hearing, so I just put on that. That's my favorite piece, the first movement of Moonlight Sonata. Although I wouldn't mind a partner that can play the third movement. If you know, you know. Anyway, I wish you well.